It's 2010 and a team of archaeologists is digging through ash layers in South India. They're looking for evidence of ancient human life, stone tools, bones, anything. And they find it. Tools both below the ash layer from the Toba eruption and above it. It doesn't sound dramatic, but in the world of human evolution, it was a bomb going off. A real bomb. It was literally a bomb because it was volcano. You get it? That's fun. Okay. Because for nearly 2 decades, the scientific community had agreed on something. Now, the Toba supervolcano eruption 74,000 years ago had already wiped us out, pushed humanity to the edge of extinction, left fewer than 10,000 people alive on the entire planet. It was one of the most compelling stories in science, and now these tools were quietly suggesting it might not be true. To understand why this discovery was such a big deal, you need to know why scientists believe the Toba story so strongly in the first place. It started with genetics. In the early 1990s, researchers mapping human DNA noticed something weird. We are genetically speaking remarkably similar to each other. Way more similar than you'd expect for a species that's been around for hundreds of thousands of years. Compared to chimpanzees, there are far fewer chimps than humans, but chimps have more genetic diversity. 2 chimps from different parts of Africa can be more genetically distinct from each other than you are from someone born in rural Mongolia. That's strange. That's the kind of genetic pattern you see when a population crashes, when almost everyone dies and the survivors rebuild from scratch. Scientists call it a bottleneck. So the question was, when did the bottleneck happen? And what caused it? Enter Stanley Ambrose, University of Illinois anthropologist, 1998. He looked at the timing of the genetic bottleneck, roughly 70 to 80,000 years ago, and matched it against the geological record. And right there in the middle of that window was Mount Toba, the largest volcanic eruption in 2 million years, an event that pumped so much ash into the atmosphere, it blocked out the sun across the entire globe for years. Volcanic winter, crop collapse, mass starvation. The timing fit perfectly. Ambrose proposed that Toba caused a catastrophic population crash, reducing humanity to as few as 2,000 individuals, maybe fewer. The Toba Catastrophe Theory was born, and it spread fast. It was elegant, it was dramatic, and it explained the genetic data with a single devastating event. There was just one problem. Nobody had actually gone to look. When scientists actually went to the places where Toba's ash had fallen and started digging, things got complicated. That 2000 study in South India, published in the journal Science, the researchers found stone tools on both sides of the Toba ash layer. The tools below the ash and the tools above it were virtually identical in style and sophistication. In other words, whatever humans were living there before the eruption were still living there after it, making the same tools, doing the same things. There was no sign of a population collapse, no sign of a cultural reset. Then came more studies. Archaeologists' sites in South Africa, in the Middle East, and East Africa, all showing continuous human occupation right through the Toba window. The people didn't vanish, they just kept going. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the genetic argument started unraveling too. The bottleneck in human DNA is real, nobody's disputing that. But when researchers went back and used newer, more precise dating methods, they found the genetic bottleneck might not line up with Toba as neatly as Ambrose thought. Some analysis push it earlier, before Toba, some push it later. The window is wider and fuzzier than the original theory assumed. And there's another issue nobody talked about loudly enough. Africa's huge! Toba's worst effects, the ashfall, the cooling, were concentrated in South and Southeast Asia. Sub-Saharan Africa, where most early humans were living, got hit, but not uniformly. Coastal regions, areas with stable microclimates, may have been affected far less than the theory assumed. Michael Petraglia, one of the leading researchers on that South India study, put it bluntly. The idea that Toba caused a near-extinction event for all of humanity is not supported by the archaeological record. So if Toba didn't cause the bottleneck, what did? And if humanity didn't nearly go extinct 74,000 years ago, why are we still so genetically similar? Here's where modern science has landed. It's actually more interesting than the original story. The genetic bottleneck is almost certainly real. Humans went through one, possibly more than one, but the current thinking is that it probably wasn't a single catastrophic event. It was more likely a slow squeeze, a combination of factors playing out over tens of thousands of years. Pause. Slow squeeze? That's funny. That's funny. Laugh. Climate instability. Ice ages cycling through Africa. Periods of intense drought that broke up populations into small, isolated groups. Competition with other human species. Disease. migration into new territories where not everyone made it. The bottleneck might not be a single door slamming shut, it might be a series of narrowing corridors stretching across thousands of years. And some researchers go even further. Geneticist Joshua Akey at Princeton and his team published a study in 2023 suggesting that humans went through an extreme population bottleneck roughly 900,000 years ago. A lot longer before Toba. Long before anything we'd previously identified. For around 100,000 years, the entire human population may have been reduced to just over 1,000 breeding individuals. 1,000 people. And we have no idea what caused it. So the story hasn't gotten less dramatic, it's gotten more dramatic and more honest. Instead of one neat villain named Toba, we're looking at a deep, complicated survival history that spans hundreds of thousands of years. Humans persist, aren't they just crazy? Now here's what I think about when I sit with all this. We built a beautiful story. Volcano erupts, humanity nearly dies, survivors rebuild, and we held on to it for 20 years because it felt right. The timing fit, the drama fit. It explained everything in one clean arc. Science does that sometimes. A theory that explains everything is intoxicating. It's usually never real though. But the evidence kept piling up, and eventually the story had to change. That's not a failure. That's the whole point. The fact that a 2010 dig in South India could force a global rethink of human prehistory, that's science working exactly as it should. And what's left, once you strip away that neat narrative, is somehow more humbling. We survived, repeatedly. Against odds we're still calculating. Not because of one dramatic moment, but because across hundreds of thousands of years, enough of us kept going in enough places that here we are. 8 billion people, descended from a population that, at its lowest, may have been smaller than a village. Now, if this made you rethink something you thought you knew, that's the best feeling in science. Hit like if you're with me on that, and next up, we're going into that 2023 study, the one suggesting humans nearly vanished 900,000 years ago during a period we have almost no fossil record of. What were we? What almost killed us? And how did we come back? I'll be making that video shortly. I hope I see you there. Have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.